Hello, hello, GM, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of Let's Ride with BMX DeFi. And today, super excited. We have a pretty stacked agenda for y'all. We are going through all about the new upcoming DEX from BMX DeFi. And I have Deez here, the COO from BMX, to be going through some of the details and overviewing a recent Medium article that BMX has put out. So without further ado, Deez, would love to hear from you a bit about why you're excited about what you're building, and maybe we could just give an overview of the agenda for today.
Yes, GM. So super excited to go over this. I know the Medium article's kind of long and a lot of details. So we'll dig in and hopefully unpack some things. And then I think we have some amazing guests up here. So I don't really know where some of the stuff's going to go. So we'll see where it goes after that. But hopefully we can kind of uncover what we're building with this new DeliSwap that's coming out.
Absolutely. And another, just to echo what Deez was saying, we have a lot of really incredible guests just in the waiting room here, ready to come up and ask some questions towards, the end after we go through all the meat and potatoes today. So just to, dive right into things, I'm curious, Deez, if you can give an overview on what BMX has been building, and in simple terms, what does DeliSwap solve for everyday traders?
Yeah. So before we get into the article and what it is, I hope many of you have at least perused it. I'd like to just start from a macro level, from a global, like zooming out. What are some of the biggest things before I get in? None of this, nothing that Beethoven here says, or Rachel, or
financial advice.
Nothing is financial advice. It's all educational content, of course. So even if we go into hypothetical situations, do your own research, please. But let's get into it. I think, we need to think about what are the biggest pain points. I'm sure a lot of people have been in DeFi forever. And the DeliSwap was very much crafted to address, we think, some of the biggest problems or issues that people are facing in DeFi today, especially over these multi-year cycles. And I think the biggest one, and this kind of grounds to the wBLT, is round tripping bags. So I don't know how many cycles people have been through, but it is exhausting taking positions and maybe going 2, 3, 4 years and not having anything to show with it. Some of these drawdowns are 70, 80%. And sometimes we have, amazing euphoria as well. But each part of the cycle is very psychologically taxing. So if prices are way above the moving averages, or everyone is hyped on the timeline, and we think we're reaching the currency singularity, if you will, and all of TradFi is coming on board, it's tough. We don't know whether to take profits or take care of ourselves, or if you take profits too early, right, and you miss a bigger trip up. So there's stress involved when things are going really well, but there's also stress involved towards the bottom. We have multi-year bear cycles, and everyone's telling you, oh, this is way below. This is a great time to buy. This is a great time to accumulate. But many in the space are probably over allocated. I know, guilty, right? And we need to pull out fiat for everyday things. So it's tough. It's tough to ride these positions up and down. And there's, I believe, a better psychological way to approach these things, and it's having exposure to everything, right? They say having a balanced portfolio. But are you making the most out of it? Are we making the most out of it having an index portfolio? So that is a big problem. And I think the solution there is actually, before we even get into DeliSwap, is just wBLT itself, which upon the launch of DeliSwap will contain, I think, the assets that most of the industry can agree with would want exposure to over the long term, which is BTC, Ethereum, and USDC. So wBLT enables us to take that balanced position and have exposure to these things. But the rebalancing of it over time lets us, I think, sleep a little bit better at night, because no matter what the market cycle is doing, the wBLT is rebalancing its weights. So it's about 50% stables and then 50% volatiles. And then that allows us to tap into that 50% stables part if we need to go buy some things in the real world that is accepting fiat. Um, but then that other part is sitting there still exposed to the market. And so wBLT, I think, is a huge solve for these emotional roller coasters that we often take in crafting portfolios and navigating multiple monetary policy and just all the uncertainties. And then I'm sure, I mean, we've been hammering wBLT content, but the benefits are huge. It's a huge list of how this thing captures fees and captures volume across trading activity. So over these multi-year cycles, you can wake up knowing that at least this product is going to work every day.
Yeah. I also, Deez, from our call when we spoke yesterday, we were talking a bit about impermanent loss and just ways to protect, traders from, unnecessary loss. So, do you want to talk a bit about like kind of the guardrails in place through BMX, through wBLT, and like using the different tools through BMX?
Yeah, so I guess there's two ways to think about impermanent loss. The first way is psychologically, how do we look at impermanent loss in a full range position? So not there's been some controversy recently of CLAMs, so concentrated liquidity, automated market makers that manage concentrated liquidity positions. Now, when these concentrated liquidity positions rebalance, impermanent loss can become real. And because every time the range moves, it moves your range up and down. And so you could be selling going down and then buying going up, but if it's too volatile, your position gets chopped up and you actually experience some it's tough. It sucks seeing that impermanent loss, especially the products that show you what it would be like just to hold. That's a very real thing to think about. But if we think about impermanent loss as for full range positions where there's not rebalancing for the liquidity, it really is just a time opportunity cost, because if things go down, then your pool is rebalancing. But if they go back up at that same point in time, you would actually be ahead. You would have your position would be a greater value because you've harvested the fees between point A and point B when the price levels were the same. So impermanent losses, we have to think about it on a time scale. So I'd like all of us to ask ourselves realistically and look in the mirror and say, would I have sold the top? Would I have bought the bottom? And that is really when you exercise your impermanent loss or impermanent gain. And so if we are overconfident, or we certainly think that we can sell the tops and buy the bottoms, then impermanent loss is probably something we should think about more often. But if we are like most humans who are not great at trading, I'm sure we'll have better, AI bots who can do this for us. But in the meantime, we'll have to build LT that can take the reins, take away our human intuitions. Then impermanent loss is not as much of an issue, because then we are just accepting that we're not going to buy bottoms, or that we're not going to sell bottoms or sell tops and buy bottoms. And then we have this less volatile position that is still accruing fees and value when there's market activity, and then there's overall appreciation of the market. So if we can kind of psychologically attach ourselves to balanced positions and accept whatever value that is at any certain point in time, it helps us mitigate what we think about impermanent loss. But that doesn't mean to say that the wBLT can't mitigate or fight against traditional impermanent loss. So when you have traditional positions that have multiple assets in there that is only accruing fees based on trading volume of volatile days, wBLT does do that. It has a fee when people enter and exit, which accrues those. But it also is plugged into the suite of BMX products, like the NFT marketplace, the on-chain media marketplace, as well as both perpetual markets. So fees and activity on these platforms also come in and feed that wBLT.
Awesome.
And one of the most important ways that it mitigates that is that wBLT it's integrated with the aggregators, the swap aggregators. So when other people are trading assets that are found in the wBLT, so you can imagine the volume going through Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDC, right? I mean, every day people are waking up and thinking the world's going to end, or it's just starting, and they're probably paying some slippage to get in and out of these coins. Those sometimes are aggregated or are routed through the wBLT through aggregators. So even people who don't even know what BMX is, they're just making swaps on Odos or Matcha or Llama Swap that are tapping into these underlying aggregators. wBLT will often come up with that route and collect that fee, much like a toll booth is what the analogy that we've used in much of our material. And so all of those fees that kind of build up do mitigate or combat that traditional impermanent loss. But I want to make it very clear, going back to that point, that we should probably rethink what we think about impermanent loss, because it's a behavioral mechanism that makes it permanent. And I would argue that most of us don't trigger that behavioral action to actually realize impermanent loss, unless we're in a concentrated liquidity position that's being managed improperly.
Got it. Before we dive deeper into the agenda here, I know we did want to start out with big picture, talking about the main problem of what is currently broken in UXs of DEXs. Unintentional rhyme there. And also, why build on Uniswap v4 hooks? And then maybe after this question, we can show some visuals from the Medium article as well.
Yeah. We'll get into the hooks here. That actually is the solve for our third problem here. But I was going to say the second problem that we have. So we still have that round tripping bags and the stress associated. But the second problem is LPs chasing incentives. And so it is difficult. I mean, if you go on to DeFi Llama or you go on to anywhere that has incentive pages, you'll see that there's APRs that are all over the place. For different pairs that are often the same. So you have stables and blue chips that have different incentives that are tied to them based on maybe certain emission schedules or a spike in volume on a certain place. And unless you have a intricate bot that can move your liquidity around with low slippage to go farm these various incentives, it's exhausting, and it sometimes can lead to sort of liquidity paralysis, if you will. Looking at these things. And so we also think that's a major problem. And no DEXs have really put a foundational concrete layer of sustainable APR, if you will, that appears on the site. And so DeliSwap is also addressing that as well. And wBLT is the cornerstone for that. But I guess let's get into the hooks part. So why hooks? Well, the third problem is, and we feel this very acutely, right? It's everyone's like, what does this do for the BMX token? The BMX token, was it more involved in this ecosystem? What does it do? And so to date, before DeliSwap, we have our BMX token that can be staked. And prior tokenomics was actually the BMX token was heavily incentivized when it was provided as liquidity against the wBLT, which gave this kind of scaling mechanic for the liquidity as the protocol growed. And so now we have staking, and then with DeliSwap, we have hooks, and the hooks allow us to pull the fees out for each of these pools that are paired with wBLT and swap it into BMX.
So real quick, just to clarify, because some people might have not heard of hooks and what that means. So basically, it's a mechanism for pulling out fees from different sources, correct?
Hooks can do quite a few things. So hooks can rehypothecate liquidities, meaning that it takes liquidity that's not needed and go deploy at other places. Hooks can dynamically change fees based on market volatility if you have a source of data that can inform that. But hooks can also address the fees that are coming out. And so in a normal traditional swap, in a DEX, the fees come out and they come out in their native assets, or they're auto compounded. But with the DeliSwap, since the service is being provided of this base APR, so we think that the providing liquidity in DeliSwap will be very attractive for long-term liquidity providers, as well as people who don't want to deal with the problems that I addressed before and want to harvest a lot of other on-chain activity as a base kind of yield or fee accrual mechanism. And so for that, the protocol will convert the fees into BMX, and that BMX will be given back to the LPs. 97% of it as BMX. Now, what the LPs do with that BMX, I don't know. They can swap it, they can hold it, they can take it. You know, with this design, is a tremendous mechanical swap. 3% of those fees will go to the BMX stakers, and they will then vote on to fund security, safety module. And so that module will be held as a stablecoin LP.
Are we able to show like the graphics, maybe like the Medium article that covers some of this?
Yeah, let's pull that up. I think
having a little like the visual chart to break everything down for me is very helpful to see.
Yeah, definitely. So we have, where I'm at in this story is kind of this safety module here. It gets kind of overwhelming, but yeah, those fees that I was talking about from the DeliSwap comes in 3% of ETH, comes in here, accumulated with stakers, and the stakers choose how much to fill the safety module. And that safety module over time will be as a security backstop in case something happens. But it really is there for more institutional trust and for parties to come in and just have a mechanism. So Moonwell's, they're famous for having a security or safety module as well as other protocols. And the fact this is an LP or stable LP means that if anything were to happen, then it kind of protects the ecosystem from any. The remaining ETH after that, so after the stakers choose how much to fund the safety module, is actually goes back to the BMX stakers here for dictating that decision. So the big change, so problem number 3 is the BMX utility. So DeliSwap will be the biggest advancement of BMX utility, and the fact where it's just tremendous swap volume from that deck via the hooks. So if we look at the volumes of DEXs at the top, I'm on DeFi Llama right now, the top 100 DEXs, it's over $100 million in 30-day volume and over $1 million per day, 24 hour. And I'm just scrolling down to 100. So obviously there's a ton of work to do. These DEXs have had a lot of time, but the team is experienced. They've had DEXs before. So that kind of swap volume will then feed this protocol and tie into these flows and mechanics.
Awesome. And I am curious, just going to the next portion of the agenda here, we talked a bit about the core architecture, wBLT. Do you want to talk about routing and aggregators and LP and staker incentives?
Yes. So let's see. I think we have another graph here. So the aggregator, is that right? The routing and aggregators? Oh, I think you're muted, Rachel.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so the next thing I have on the agenda is routing and aggregators.
Yeah. So the aggregators are a central part of it. So if we can imagine wBLT as the anchor point here with the USDC, the BTC, and the ETH, the aggregators can tap into that directly to perform a low slippage swap. So it doesn't just matter what the wBLT liquidity is. They can tap right into that USDC, BTC, and ETH, which is great for any asset that's pairing against it. So imagine any kind of token that that is paired against the wBLT. If someone is trying to swap through those assets, it can actually go into the wBLT and then accomplish that trade. So it's very deep liquidity and low slippage experience for the LPs, which is important for LPs that are looking for just to set up their liquidity shop to enable people to enter and exit their community. Because if we think about liquidity, it's really the door for people to come in and out of the token. And so you want a large door so people can leave and enter nicely and smoothly. So that is, it helps a lot that this wBLT, I mean, it's huge that it's integrated with these aggregators. I would say it's a central part of the wBLT. So,
yeah. After learning yesterday from our call and just, listening to some of the Unwrapped podcasts you guys have done, I have learned a lot about this. And the fact that, I had a question for you guys. I said, okay, so if, people, if not enough number of people are using BMX, do people still get the fees? And you guys said yes, because this is connected to, other platforms, other aggregators. So no matter what, people are getting those rewards through wBLT. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, so a lot of times people, when they have liquidity, when they establish their first liquidity, they want to maybe create an arbitrage pair. So they pair their token with USDC and then they pair with ETH, and then those two pools can create arbitrage opportunities, which drives volume. But with wBLT, you get all of that benefit with one, because you're pairing with a basket of assets. So you pair USDC, the ETH, and the BTC. So it solves that kind of arbitrage want from liquidity providers right off the bat, just by creating one pair. But yeah, as you said, the BMX ecosystem is not the only thing that feeds this flywheel. It's all swaps that are being executed over any aggregator. They can search and find wBLT, and it will execute that trade and collect that fee for the system if it's found. So yeah, really, really excited.
Awesome. So just a couple more points I want to cover, and then we could start bringing people up here shortly. We talked a bit about the LP and staker incentives. I don't know if you want to go deeper into that, but something I'm really curious about is, risk and safety, like how you guys, cover smart contract audits, backstop funds, Oracle blends, like all that stuff. If you want to cover that as well as staker incentives.
Yeah, definitely. So the safety module is there for any kind of hiccups that God forbid. No exploits to date, and yeah, our hook will be audited before shipping. So that will be there. And this is still all built on the established audited code already. And then for staker incentives, yeah, we can see here, it's 3% of all these swap fees that go to these stakers. And then after they dictate what goes to the safety module, the stakers then are directed the rest of those fees from the protocol. So there is incentive to participate in directing funds to the safety module.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess last question I have for you before we open up to the audience or community members we have up here. What's coming ahead for V2? I see, dynamic fees, open base pairs, more hooks. Like, can you kind of give an overview of what the snapshot looks like of the road ahead?
Yeah, so hooks are so cool. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with them. And so if we can find a source of volatility that we can tap into, we can adjust the fees and really juice them during crazy times of the market, which means more fees for everyone in the protocol, which is great. And it kind of puts a blunt on very high volatile activity. But then I really like to see is using the hooks for rehypothecation. So we're looking at different options to deploy wBLT, and then of course you can use the hook on either side of the liquidity position. So if the protocol itself wants to use their token elsewhere, if it's enabled in a lending market, they can take some of that liquidity out via the hooks. It's not being utilized, and go deploy it. And so yeah, other DEXs have done kind of rehypothecation stuff as well, but the hooks allow a modularity, which is really, really nice.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the majority of the agenda and questions I wanted to ask you today. I don't know if we want to start bringing up other folks to ask questions. We have like quite a few people here behind the stage. If we want to bring them up, unless there's anything else you want to go through, Deez, before Q&A.
No, I think that's it. I think we covered all of it, and excited to get everyone else, up on stage, some airtime. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we got Ryan from Own the Doge here. We have Just On Chain, who is just everywhere supporting all on-chain media. Let's touch base things. Same as Spiral. And also, I want to give just a special shout out to Ryan here. If you guys notice, there is a new logo added to the back of Ryan's Dogely background. If you guys notice to the right, and that is On-Chain Media. Ryan is now officially our creative advisor for On-Chain Media, who's helping us with brand development. So very excited to announce that here live today. And yeah, excited also to dive into our questions and whatever you guys want to ask about DeliSwap or just anything in general. I know Just has questions prepared. Ryan and Spiral, if you guys want to ask anything, maybe we'll kick off with Ryan.
Yo, GM. How you doing?
Doing really great. I love to see the On-Chain Media logo back there. Makes me happy, man.
Yeah,
it's like a Beethoven and Doge here. A Doge with Noggles. I mean, how often do you get a Beethoven and a Doge on stage together? It's pretty rare.
Yeah, I'm digging your Beethoven avatar. What program are you using for that one?
Gosh, I need to look it up. I think it's like X Mirror or something.
Okay, cool. We'll have to connect afterwards, and I'll have to learn your secrets.
Yeah, it's not as cool as the 3D, but we definitely, we found a motion picture one, and then I had to change his scarf and give him a appropriate pin, of course. But we're just composing DeFi.
Stella. Sorry, my excitement just went through the roof because I see Stella. What's going on? We got Stella here from Unlock Protocol, you guys. Absolute legend, amazing human being. Yeah, I could have a whole live stream just giving Stella flowers. I'm gonna stop myself. I gotta stop.
Oh my god. Hi guys. And I apologize for being late.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, we're just bringing people up now, so like you're actually on time. Perfect. And
awesome.
I love she's got the Decent beanie, you guys. She's a big proponent of Decent, a project I was working on for quite some time before doing On-Chain Media now. So yeah, Stella, we're just going through talking about DeliSwap, new DEX that BMX is creating using Uniswap v4 hooks. So we just went through a lot on that. And yeah, we're just going to go around and ask some questions. So Ryan, do you have any questions or any comments specifically on what anything Deez went over?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. And like just for background, I'm working on thecreators.com, which is we're going to be launching a creator launchpad, which will allow creators who are making art or movies or games or music to launch a token that's paired up with their project. And so I guess related to DeFi and swapping and everything, if we're building a platform that issues creator tokens, how would DeliSwap be able to help us make sure those tokens have liquidity and utility?
Yeah, great question. So this is a strength of DeliSwap as well, as far as incentive mechanism goes. So a new protocol of a creator token could deploy the liquidity in DeliSwap and inherit that wBLT APR. So, for example, wBLT its APR is drifted between 20 and 80%, I think, pretty consistently. And so, if that liquidity is deployed 50-50, then the math turns out that that's a 10% APR for the pool right away, which people like to see. And then if there is, with tokenomics, a lot of times there is a slice of that is reserved for community incentives, whether it's liquidity incentives or airdrops or anything like that. Well, a strength of DeliSwap is that incentives can be deployed straight to the pool itself, which then go directly to those LPs versus going to, say, BMX stakers who might not have a direct tie to that creator economy or liquid or tokens, which, if incentives are going to people that aren't holding the token, they're probably most likely to part ways with that token. So by incentivizing the existing liquidity providers, then you're incentivizing basically people that are still in your community. And so that helps a lot, I think, as far as growing liquidity goes. So two things: you get that base APR right out the gate. No need to create multiple pairs to create arbitrage because you already get the stable coin and the BTC in the wBLT. And then two, incentivizing a native token to the native LP.
Awesome. Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your question. We got JY2 in the audience. Ryan's filter is fire. Yeah, JY2. I mean, I gotta have him up on one of these streams. I love JY2's energy. And yeah, I know Just has quite a few questions prepared. I don't know if we want to just run down the line or just if you want to share like one of your questions or all of them. I mean, I don't have anywhere to be. We can go through them all if you want. GM Gist.
Okay. Hi guys. Good evening everyone.
What's
Really
up?
welcome. Good.
Just thank you. I just want to thank you always for showing up. I mean, this guy just relentlessly supports anything we're doing with on-chain media. Let's touch base, late night on base. He's even rocking the Topi PFP. He's just always showing up and supporting community. So just always a pleasure having you on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. So about BMX, I just have a few questions. But first of all, let me say BMX came under my radar immediately after Toby launched. I think when we're preparing for the launch, I think I've been following the project ever since. And it's amazing to see that they are constantly building and coming up with new stuff. So I think my first question will be related to that. Since there are a lot of other decentralized exchanges in the market right now, how exactly does this new product that BMX is building, how does it stand out from the rest of the products in the market? That's the first one. I would like you to answer that before maybe I go to my other question.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a lot of decentralized exchanges, a lot of DEXs, but BMX with this DeliSwap is basically putting a DEX almost inside of a DEX, if that makes sense. So the wBLT has USDC, Ethereum, and BTC in it. It will have those upon launch. And so that's already collecting fees, and it's already acting like a kind of a tiny little DEX. Because it's gating deposits, mints and burns out of it. So it's collecting a fee for the people that are sitting in there, plus taking the fees from the perpetual markets and the NFT marketplace. So it's hard for a lot of projects come and they say, oh, can we be in the wBLT, in the BLT itself? Well, it's a lot of overhead to put an asset inside of the BLT because it needs proper Oracle support. As of the recent governance proposal, need to go through governance. And so this DEX will actually enable kind of a permissionless exposure to wBLT. Because if you can imagine wBLT paired with, X token, whatever token, that LP position in itself is the wBLT plus that token in an LP position. And so how DeliSwap differs from the rest of the market is that it provides this inherent APR because one of the tokens inside is made up of blue chips that are typically seeked out anyway to create arbitrage opportunities when you have when you're trying to deploy two separate tokens. And what I mean by arbitrage is if you put one token with stablecoin, one token with say ETH, then the difference in those two pools will trigger trades in volume. But with BLT or with DeliSwap, you don't have to create two pools. You can get that same effect in one pool because the wBLT is creating, it's both. You're getting the best of all worlds. You're getting BTC, Ethereum, and USDC pairings against your native token, plus discoverable on all aggregator trade routes and built on the battle-tested Uniswap. So that is a brief sales pitch, I suppose.
Awesome. And I see another question coming through in the comments here. And it's funny that Stella's asking this because we did chat about impermanent loss a bit. Stella says, should I just read the question or do you want to ask, Stella?
Yeah, I can just ask. So I was wondering, we had this when we opened our first pool for app on Uniswap. And of course, LPs suffered impermanent loss. So I'm wondering, is this something that your DEX addresses in any way, or is this non-touched? Like, yeah, just curiosity.
Yeah, we did go on a spiritual journey earlier about impermanent loss, but I guess the mechanical battle against impermanent loss is that the wBLT, the pairing asset. So just to be clear, every pairing in this DEX is paired against wBLT, and so wBLT takes fees from the perpetual markets and from the NFT marketplaces to bring in more fee streams to auto compound in there and kind of blunt any kind of movements that would result in, I guess, classic impermanent loss. However, there is still changes in the balances which result in impermanent loss, and that was the spiritual journey part. Is that impermanent loss only occurs with if we don't sell, right, or when you make it permanent. And so there is things to consider there as far as liquidity depths. I don't know how it was the U token. Is that what you mentioned?
No, it's the UP token, Unlocked Protocol token. Yeah,
okay,
it's a young token though, to be fair. But yeah.
So the UP token, I don't know who exactly was talking about the impermanent loss in the community, but there's a couple things to consider, right? If the liquidity is really low and someone were to cash out, I guess, or take that gain, it would probably wreck the liquidity pool, which is kind of negative sum game for everybody. And so a lot of times the core liquidity providers, even though it says like on paper, it's like, oh, if I would have sold at this time, or if I just would have held, I had impermanent loss, so I missed out on it. However, if they actually executed on that and sold into the pool, I don't know exactly the route, and they're kind of complicated situations. So the journey that we went on earlier, I was trying to challenge, I guess, the audience and honestly ourselves, who are obviously probably over allocated at times, to kind of consider, what do we think impermanent loss is, and are we actually going to sell the tops and buy the bottoms? And if we can get more comfortable with, say, an LP position that has blue chip assets in there that we want to exposure anyway, like BTC, ETH, and USDC, plus our token, of course, whatever token it is, the highs won't be as high, but the lows also won't be as low. So when we need to tap into that for liquidity, whether we're paying, payroll or expenses or doing, community support, a lot of times your native tokens are reserved for just ecosystem support. These kind of healthier liquidity profiles, I guess, if you will, if we pair the tokens with wBLT, it makes it a lot easier to tap into it in volatile market conditions. Because if it's at the bottom, you don't want to sell because it's like, oh, this is a great time to accumulate. But if it's at the top, it's like, could it go higher, or are we dumping at an inopportune time? And so I think if we can all mentally or get more comfortable with healthy liquidity profiles, it's just easier to go about our day to day and use these tokens and stores of value for a lot of protocols, and then in measured function.
Absolutely. And just to remind everyone, just recapping on BLT, getting a message from Ketchup back here. So BLT is like a basket of assets. It's sort of like an on-chain index fund. So it's not just one asset, but it kind of allows you to accumulate multiple assets in that basket. Yeah, I just wanted to cover BLT for those who might have not been here for the breakdown. And yeah, I do want to kick it over next. We have Spiral here, you guys. Spiral also is another community member who relentlessly shows up, supports everything we're doing, spaces, streams, you name it. Spiral is there showing up and supporting his fellow community members. So Spiral, do you have any questions you want to share today with Deez? If you can unmute. There we go.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed the chat, and also just want to say that, thanks to BMX, I learned a lot about
Oops, sorry, you just cut out there, Spiral.
Can you hear me better? Any
Yes,
chance?
and then no.
1 second. Let me try to move to a better location.
Whoa, we have a base junkie here, you guys. Watch out. Watch out. He's made like
Yeah.
honestly the whole screen of us just like went.
I'm sorry.
I think maybe now.
Went down.
Base junkie, we'll kick it over to you after Spiral's question. But thank you so much for joining us, man. We got a full house. It really is looking like a full house.
Body time.
Or no, I'm sorry, the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. All right, Spiral. Do you want to drop a question?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry if my connection was not so good before. I hope it's better now. So my question was, I was wondering that I've seen that a lot of platforms.
Hey, Spiral, you cut out again. Why don't you drop your question in the back room, and I can just share it out loud for you if you're not able to get a good connection here.
Sure thing. I will drop it in the replies.
It's like you come in like super clear and then it cuts out for a while. So I'll go ahead and read it once you drop it. While we're waiting on that question, I just want to give a big hello to Base Junkie, you guys. One of the founders of Topi, you guys will see just on chains, Topi PFP there. And Topi is the first project to launch their NFT collection using Base Media X. So super exciting stuff. And we just lost Stella. But yeah, very excited to see you here at Base Junkie. I love what Topi is doing. And, like I think there's a lot of parallels here in connection with the BMX project with Base Media X. So yeah, if you have any questions you want to share, or just anything in general you want to share, feel free.
Well, first of all, it's great to see you. Great to be on
I know,
a
it's been a
stream
minute.
again. Another year around the sun. Congratulations and happy belated birthday. The pictures and videos look like you. I'm glad to see that you were spoiled.
I got all the pictures here. Like honestly, it was a birthday for the ages. Ryan here was there. Got a photo with Ryan on here as well.
Incredible. I've got FOMO.
Well, I was thinking maybe because I have a wall of Polaroids here and I have my Polaroid camera. Maybe we can all get a photo here before the end of the stream together. So we'll get Beethoven and Doge in there.
I've got to be honest. I've got to jump off in a few minutes. We actually have a Tuesdays. I just want to come on. Yeah, it's Tuesday again.
Okay, we got to. We'll align the schedule so we can show up and support you guys.
Okay, but look, I just wanted to say happy birthday. Great to see you again.
Oh, thank you.
Also, a big shout out to BMX and Meowthosaurus. For those of you who, don't know, Rachel just said, but we were the first collection to launch on the BMX platform, the Topi collection. We cut it down to 2, 2, 2, 2. So 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 = 8. I know Bill is big into the numerology, so it was a perfect min size, especially for this climate. And man, we were at like 2150, and I think we were just sort of like we were at like the 95th yard line, and Meowth, man, he came in, full guns blazing and helped us cross the finish line. So big shout out to Meowthosaurus. That was an absolute Chad move, and great to have the support from the BMX team community, and definitely excited for the next chapter, and also excited to hear about what BMX has got cooking for the future of their NFT platform.
Well, yeah, we just did a long stream and went through the latest Medium article that came out on their DeliSwap DEX that they've built on Uniswap using Uniswap v4 hooks. So very exciting stuff. And Base Junkie, I know you have to jump shortly, so I'm going to go ahead and drop a link for you in the background here if you want to just review this in your own time. And then also, I'm trying to see if we can get Stella back here, but I was serious, you guys, about us getting a photo here today. For those of you like Base Junkie, I know you weren't able to make it, but we can get a photo of all of us. We got Beethoven, we got Spiral, Gist, and I'll go ahead and add this to the wall if you guys want. All right, ready?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, whoever can be on camera here today. All right, let's see. All right, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right.
Nice one.
Might be the first first Polaroid taken while on a live stream. Maybe, I don't know.
I love it. Well, listen. On that note, I'm glad I made this the selfie, the Polaroid. I look forward to seeing it, but I do need to jump. So, all the flowers to you. Everything you're doing, truly inspirational.
Base Junkie, honestly, I'm so grateful for you guys. If you're not following at basejunkie.base.eth, give this guy a follow. What he's building and doing for the NFT community on Base is just unparalleled. Like, I don't know anyone that lives and breathes NFTs like this guy. So definitely give him a follow. If you're someone that's into NFTs or Base culture, definitely connect with him. Oh, and I'm sorry, you guys, we got Stella back. Let's do one more now that we got Stella on here. I'm so sorry. V2 real quick. All right, here we go. let me.
The sequel's better than the original. How are we going to hold this for?
Rachel, we lost you. Your audio's out.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry, you guys. I muted my mic. Yeah, the photo was taken a while ago.
Okay, I was waiting for you to say.
It's so easy to accidentally mute this mic, you guys. I'm sorry. It sounds like a touch screen thing that I accidentally hit. Sorry, guys. Stella literally just came in for the photo. Thank you, Stella, for jumping back in. Base Junkie, thank you. I know you got to drop, and let's migrate over to the space after this for Topi Tuesdays and support the fam. Base Junkie, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Rachel. Peace out, guys.
All right. And just to kind of run through any more questions. I know we are getting close to the hour mark here, but I mean, hey, I would love to hang out with you guys and hear any other thoughts you have. Deez, if there's anything you want to run through, or if there's anything anyone wants to share in general, anything you're excited about on Base this week, feel free. I feel like Ryan probably has a lot too.
We've got a few things coming up here in about a half hour. We're starting Build in Public. Going to be showing off the new metaverse game that we're working on coming up for the end of the month. We'll be interested in, maybe showing off some of the stuff that we're building for on-chain media. If you're available to hop in on that one too, Rachel.
Oh, absolutely. There's just so many shows nowadays. Like the Base team said, okay, let's amplify Base creators. And like for the first couple of weeks, it was like, cool. But now it's like every hour, there's just like all these different spaces and streams. And like, I want to support all the friends, but I can't make it to everything. But I will definitely, I got to go pop over to Topi Tuesdays, then I'll hop on there. And like Ryan said, you guys, he's going to be helping us with the On-Chain Media brand now. So if you guys have seen the On-Chain Media logo, that is all thanks to Ryan. Ryan is just a super creator. He's going to be helping us with the website, just a complete brand overhaul. So I'm very excited for that, to take On-Chain Media to the next level. And I would also love to see, Ryan, if there's anything you could do between the creators and BMX and Base Media X, because I know Base Media X really wants to celebrate creators, bringing NFT artists into that ecosystem. And Deez, I'm not sure if you have any comments there, just the relation of like the creative on-chain culture and Base Media X.
Oh, I mean, definitely. Anytime we can cross list or promote, let's do it. And we have a new UI coming out this month, so that should be even sexier for everyone who's displaying their media.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need a chat. Let's get a one-on-one going, or Rachel, we could get a group chat going.
Yeah, let's do it. I will set that up. Also, I'm so sorry, you guys. Spiral dropped his question in the background. I'm just seeing this now. I'm so sorry, Spiral. So Spiral's question for you, Deez, is many platforms talk about capital efficiency, but you're combining LP fees and routing with BLT. What's the real advantage here that other DEXs don't have?
Yeah, other DEXs don't have the embedded wBLT. I mean, that's really the straightforward answer. You're just choosing your poison. So you're choosing stablecoin, you're choosing Ethereum, you're choosing Bitcoin, and you're pairing against it. And you're hoping that the volatility or the price action, whatever it is aligned with whatever goals you have for your liquidity position. But with wBLT, you get the beauty of all those worlds. So you get a pair with all three of those blue chip assets in one pair, which means you inherit the APR, which derives from the rebalancing activity from those blue chip assets. I don't think trading activity for USDC, ETH, and Bitcoin is going anywhere anytime soon. And then you could pair any kind of token to that. And so other DEX definitely don't have that kind of embedded capital efficiency where we're tapping into not only one pair, but we're tapping into the blue chip liquidity across most ecosystems and then harvesting that activity in the background. It's not just an index. It's an index that's plugged in, an index that has the auto compounders as firepower. I mean the aggregators, excuse me. Aggregators as firepower.
Awesome. And I also got word that Spiral's connection has improved now. So Spiral, if you have anything you want to add to your questions, comments, or anything, if you're able to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that answer. First of all, it's great to hear that there's some better benefits that you get with wBLT, and I was wondering if you can elaborate more on that. What is it like for the end user, for example, difference in order to do it for the long term, for example, for over a year? Is there some kind of better results that you can get with if you use better routing with wBLT?
Yeah, so routing is really nice because it is, again, plugged into those aggregators. So anytime you need to trade in and out of it, slippage is very low. But I would say the best way to look at wBLT hands-on is through DBank, actually. So if you hold wBLT and then you hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDC separately, just naked in your wallet, on DBank, it actually shows up each individual asset. And so it's an easy way to conceptualize, okay, I'm holding these three assets just like I would naked. But now I get the benefit of those swap fees. I get the benefit of that auto compounding over the long term. And so the wBLT, if you look at a price chart on it, the volatility is much lower than traditional assets because you have that 50% stable coin that's grounding it. So that's kind of the psychological benefit that I addressed earlier for those who are holding diverse crypto portfolios over the long term. wBLT is a great way to hold all three of those blue chips and put them to work.